The worst fears become reality. As she approached the front door, Zanina heard Hawk shouting at Sarah and Eva. His words were unclear, so she quickly stepped inside to uphold justice before the situation worsened. The moment she entered, an unusual silence filled the room. Zanina was puzzled by the way Sarah and Eva, their eyes brimming with tears, looked at her. She demanded an explanation. "Will someone tell me what's going on, Mother? You start, tell me what happened." "Leave your mother alone." Hawk's commanding voice cut through the air as he glared at Zanina with fury. "Fine then. Father, do me the favor of explaining why you were shouting just now." Hawk smirked. "Zanina, I feel wonderful today." "Oh, Father, that's wonderful." Zanina rushed forward to embrace him, but instead, he grabbed her wrists tightly, squeezing them with enough force to hurt. "Father, let go, you're hurting me." As soon as he released her, he struck her across the cheek with such force that her entire face burned red. Then, he shoved her, sending her crashing to the floor. Zanina fought back tears, determined to understand why her father was behaving this way before breaking down. Hawk turned to Sarah with a chilling smile. "Now, my sweet Sarah, you may give Zanina the explanation she seeks." Sarah was sobbing uncontrollably, unable to speak out of sheer fear. "Speak," Hawk bellowed. After a few moments, Sarah took a deep breath and whispered, "While you were gone, I highly doubt the mice ate your tongue. Speak louder or else." Hawk threatened. Sarah forced herself to continue, her voice trembling. "While you were gone, a soldier, Mr. Lauren, came by. We were in the room, so we didn't hear the knock at the door. Your father, who was having tea in the kitchen, heard it and answered." Sarah hesitated, but Hawk's impatient glare pushed her on. "Continue." "When your father saw Lauren, certain images came to his mind. After discussing matters about the British Army and the news that Erica and Joshua had been arrested, he started to remember everything." Hawk chuckled darkly. "That's where you're mistaken, my sweet Sarah. I started remembering long ago, but I kept it to myself for one reason only. I was waiting for the day when you three hyenas, who dare to call yourselves my family, would finally reveal the truth to me." "Father." "Silence, Eva. I place the least blame on you. As for your mother, I expect nothing from her. Despite sending her to the doctors for her madness, she only grew more insane. So that leaves just one person for me to blame, your sister." Zanina remained seated on the floor, staring at the ground. Her head was spinning, and she focused her gaze on a single spot to stop herself from crying. There, lying on the floor, was a book, her mother's favorite. It was a gift from Hawk when Zanina was just a baby. She picked it up, flipped to the first page, and read the inscription. "To my beloved wife and daughter, Sarah and Zanina, you have made me the happiest man on earth. I will love you forever." Hawk stepped closer to Zanina, bent down, snatched the book from her hands, and tossed it aside. Then, he grabbed her shoulders violently, forcing her gaze back to the book. She picked it up again, holding on to it with all her strength, repeating the dedication in her mind. But the words belonged to a different man, the man she once knew as her father. The man who now stood before her was a stranger, a beast ready to devour anything human left in his path. His shouts rang in her ears as he shook her violently, slamming her head and face back and forth. But Zanina could only hear fragments of his words. "You are selfish. You are not my daughter. I never want to see you again. I despise you. I am ashamed of you. Whore." Hawk continued to hurl the worst insults at her, undeterred by Eva and Sarah's desperate attempts through cries and gesturesto, make him stop his abuse and leave her alone. He kept shaking her violently, even as he saw her sweating, her nose bleeding, and her reddened eyes blinking uncontrollably as dizziness blurred her vision. Suddenly, she stopped breathing. Her body convulsed, foaming saliva escaping her mouth as she suffered a seizure. By the time Hawk's assault ended, she had lost consciousness entirely. He grabbed a pitcher of water from the table and threw it over her face to wake her up. Once she regained partial awareness, he lifted her up and sneered, "I want you to be fully awake when I throw you out of this house, so you will remember this moment for the rest of your life, a nightmare that will haunt you forever." Zanina could barely stand, so Hawk hoisted her over his shoulder. He flung open the front door and threw her out before locking it behind her. Turning to Sarah and Eva, he threatened them. "This door will not open again unless Zanina disappears from the face of the earth. If I even suspect that you helped her, I will hunt you down and kill you with my own hands. Do I make myself clear?" The two terrified women remained silent. Hawk took a step closer and bellowed, "Did you hear me?" "Yes." They stammered in unison, clinging to each other in fear. Through the window, Hawk saw that Zanina had vanished. He unlocked the door and stepped outside, checking around the house and the stables to make sure she hadn't hidden nearby. When he found no trace of her, he returned inside and announced, "I'm going to the barracks to meet some old acquaintances and to request a pardon for Erica and Joshua." Eva's heart clenched. She realized Hawk did not know that Joshua was his own son, but she had no intention of revealing that secret. However, she couldn't stay silent about his plan to request a pardon for the two criminals. Trembling, she dared to speak. "Father, you have no authority to request a pardon. The army has already stripped you of your duties. You're lucky they haven't arrested you yet." "Silence," Hawk snapped. "I don't take advice from anyone. The only fools here are you and your mother, if you even think about running away." With that, he stormed out, locked the door behind him, took his horse from the stable, and rode off. As the sound of hoofbeats faded into the distance, Sarah and Eva held each other tightly, drawing strength from their embrace. "Mother, I'm really worried about Zanina. She was already sick this morning." Eva's concern was evident, and Sarah tried to reassure her. Maybe none of this would have happened if, but let's not fool ourselves. Sooner or later, your father would have exploded, and one of us would have suffered the consequences. This time, it was Zanina. If the army accepts father's request to pardon Erica and Joshua, then Eva's concern turned into sheer panic. It would be a terrible injustice to set two wicked criminals free. But what can we do? Nothing. We can't risk our lives trying to escape. If he finds us, he'll kill us. Oh, Mother, I have no more tears left to cry. I can't just sit here and do nothing while someone I love is in danger. Sarah thought for a moment and then said, "Do you know what Zanina would want us to do right now?" "What?" Eva asked, ready to do anything for Zanina's sake. "She would want us to pray for her safety." Eva agreed that it was a good idea, but at the same time, she knew that if God were to answer their prayers, she had to resolve the mystery weighing on her heart. So she asked her mother directly about the money that had gone missing from Hawk's room. "My dear, first, let me explain where that money came from," Sarah began. "When I married your father, my parents gave us a large sum as a wedding gift, but he secretly took the money, and I had no power to stop him. One night, the night I left without saying goodbye, we had a heated argument. I accused him of stealing it, but he denied everything and threw me out of the house, claiming I was useless and that I wouldn't survive without it. But, as you see, I proved him wrong. I returned stronger than ever." After a brief pause, she continued, "Now let me explain how the money disappeared from his room. When I came back and started cleaning, I found a box under his bed. Inside, I saw some of the money that rightfully belonged to me. Without hesitation, I took it and hid it in a safe place, not knowing that you had already discovered it. We thought it came from his illegal dealings," Eva exclaimed. "Of course not. The money he earned was wasted on entertainment, women, alcohol, and gambling. That's why he has nothing left." "Thank you, Mother. That was exactly what I needed to hear. I feel so much lighter now." Sarah smiled, satisfied. "But before we pray, I feel the need to go out and look for Zanina. If she's not in the stable, I'll search beyond it. Maybe she found shelter somewhere your father didn't check." Are you sure about this, Mother? Please, let me come with you, Eva pleaded. You need to stay here in case Zanina returns. Don't worry, I'll be careful. All right, Mother, but please, don't wander too far. This place can be confusing at night, and you might lose your way. Sarah nodded, kissed Eva on the cheek, and opened the window, letting in a gust of cold air. Eva watched as her mother called out Zanina's name, her voice growing fainter with each step. The golden light of the setting sun bathed the landscape in a warm glow, casting long, wavering shadows across the ground. As Sarah moved further away, her figure blurred into the hazy dusk, swallowed by the deepening twilight. An uneasy feeling gripped Eva's heart. She wouldn't be at peace until her loved ones returned home safely. After a few minutes, Eva heard a noise and leaned out of the window again, trying to determine its source. However, she could see nothing clearly. The thick fog had blanketed everything in sight. Fortunately, Sarah soon emerged from the mist, offering reassurance as she spoke. Eva, it's me. I found the food Zanina left in the stable and brought some firewood as well. We'll need it to light the fireplace. But there's no sign of Zanina. Eva struggled to take the firewood and food from Sarah, placing them carefully on the floor. Then, she grasped her mother's hand, helping her climb back inside through the window. Sensing her daughter's distress, Sarah gently encouraged her. Don't dwell on anything right now. I'll start the fire, and when I return, I want you to begin the prayer. All right, Eva agreed. Once Sarah was settled, they both sat down. Closing her eyes, Eva prayed earnestly to God. Lord, we know you hear us, and we ask you to protect Zanina and keep her safe in this difficult hour. She is ill and in danger of dying. Help us escape this peril, so we may bring our beloved Zanina back to us. Grant us patience and strength to endure these trials, and cleanse our hearts of hatred so that we may forgive. We thank you that no harm has come to us so far, but when Zanina is in danger, it feels as though we are too. When she is sick, it is as if we are suffering with her. And if she dies, it will be as if we are dying as well. At that moment, the mere thought of Zanina's death overwhelmed Eva, and she broke into tears. Sarah embraced her, hoping to offer the hope and courage she herself scarcely possessed. Rising to her feet, she set about preparing tea and bread, determined to keep them both strong, to prevent them from collapsing under the weight of their fears.